Welcome to my Superdog Warwick guide. In this video, I'll be going over the build, what items and augments to take, how to play before level 6, during level 6, and how to play after level 6, what you do when you get contested, and then I'll go into some in-depth positioning examples. This is a slow roll comp, meaning we're rolling out to 50 gold every single turn for 3-star units. We will be slow rolling at level 6 with this board, but since both Yone and Fiora can be hard to find at level 6, we might have to slow roll with this board until we find both of them for the 6 challenger trait. You want to replace Lysandra with Dr. Mundo once you find him as well. Your 3-star priority is Warwick, Quinn, Samira, then Camille. You will be slow rolling until you hit Warwick 3-star. After that, you will level up to as high of a level as possible, which will be level 7, 8, or 9 depending on your HP and gold amount. Most of the time, that will be level 8, and there are 2 viable variations there. The first one is 3 Chemtech by adding in Zac and Mundo. This gives Warwick more tankiness and also gives him even more attack speed. The second variation adds in Jace to shred armor for the challengers, and also adds in Orianna for more CC and Clockwork for more damage. The second variation is more expensive as you are relying on a 5 cost, so most of the time you will run Chemtech at level 8. I want to note that going for 5 or even 7 Chemtech at level 8 is not good with this build, as you need Warwick to be attacking as fast as possible, which is why 6 challengers is a core synergy for this comp. But if you already have 6 challengers, what you add in depends mostly on what you need. I will go more in depth on which of these variations you want to run in different situations in the late game part of the video. Warwick is the primary carry for this comp, so we prioritize making items for him first. But to first understand which items Warwick wants, we need to look at his spell. He has a passive that makes him heal and deal bonus magic damage every time he auto-attacks. This makes him a great user of both AP and AD, as his spell scales with AP and his auto-attacks already deal AD. Warwick has 2 core items. The first one is QSS and the second one is Titan's Resolve. Since Warwick deals all damage through auto-attacks, we need to continuously be auto-attacking. In addition, the way Warwick dies is if he gets bursted down, and QSS will allow us to continuously be healing up and dealing damage, resulting in it being harder to burst us down. Titan's Resolve is also core on Warwick as it stacks up to 25 insanely fast with 6 challengers. Since he will also have QSS, he will guaranteed get up to 25 stacks within the first 5 to 10 seconds. The additional AP and AD we get from Titan scales incredibly well with our ability, and it also makes us more tanky with the defensive stats. The third item for Warwick wants to be either Static Shiv, Rageblade, Giant Slayer, or another Titan's Resolve. Static Shiv is great as we will get an insane amount of lightning procs with 6 challengers. In addition, since Warwick deals AP damage with every auto attack, the MR reduction from Shiv will increase our magic damage per second against the enemy teams. Rageblade makes Warwick a large threat as the fight goes on, and he will also stack up this incredibly fast when he already has 6 challengers. Giant Slayer is something you build in certain lobbies when there are a lot of high HP units, and this makes us not get stuck on tanks and allows us to get challenger resets off more often, allowing us to run through teams. Another Titan's Resolve is also not bad, as even more AP and AD and tanky stats are great for Warwick. After we have itemized Warwick, we want to make support items for Warwick. These are items like Chalice, Zeke's Herald, Zephyr, and Shroud. Chalice and Zeke's buff up 3 units on our team. This will also give Warwick more stats. In total, this allows us to have more threats while also buffing up our main carry. Zephyr is great to remove really tanky units from the fight to make sure Warwick doesn't get stuck on them, and allows him to get to the backline faster. Shroud does the same thing, it slows down the enemy team, and allows us to have an easier time snowballing the fight. We can also throw items on either Quinn, Samira, Yone, or Fiora to be a secondary carry if the game goes late. They can all use these items, but the most important thing is to buff up the Warwick as much as possible with support items. Tank items are not great for this comp due to the fast pace and the fact that we want to snowball the fight, but you will throw tank items on Dr. Mundo and Jace in the late game, or if you get dropped a lot of defensive components. If you get a Spatula, you can make both Challenger and Chemtech Spat. Challenger Spat works best as we can go for 8 challengers at level 8. Chemtech Spat is also good as we can more easily fit in 3 Chemtech at level 8. The best augments to take for this comp are Challenger Heart, Emblem, or Soul, Chemtech Heart, Emblem, or Soul, Knife's Edge, Cybernetic Implants, Featherweights, First Aid Kit, On Guard, Thrill of the Hunt, Metabolic Accelerator, and augments like Trade Sector and Golden Ticket are fantastic to hit the 3 stars quicker. The carousel priority for this comp is Bow, Tear, Cloak, then Chain. Since this comp revolves mostly around 2 cost units, we can find a lot of the units in the early game. The best opener for this comp is to have Warwick with 3 Chemtech and 2 challengers, or 4 challengers. Other openers that work are Ezreal with Innovators, Quinn with any frontline, or Trundle with Scrap. Once we have our opener, we need to make items, but since this comp is incredibly item dependent, we don't want to slam suboptimal items for Warwick or use components for any of his items. This means we don't slam any item that uses bow, chain, cloak, or glove. The ones we can slam are Dragon's Claw, Rageblade, Static Shiv, Zeke's Herald. We don't want to slam QSS or Titans as they are not flexible items, but you can still slam them if you want to hard force Warwick. Since we can barely slam any items, we want to play for a loss streak the vast majority of the time in the early game. The goal is then to go on a 6 loss streak until stage 3-2. Because of this, we don't want to level in the early game if we're going to be playing Warwick, as we want to save the gold to hit interest gold and not spend it on leveling. We can also be aggressive in the early game if we find an early Warwick with some challengers and we can actually slam items. In that case, the standard aggressive leveling patterns apply. The goal when playing aggressively is to be level 6 with 50 gold or more on stage 3-5. If you want to learn more about how to play the early game, check out my guide where I go in depth on that subject. After the Krugs round, you will have more direction towards a comp, and the general requirements to play Warwick is to have at least one bow item already made, and a component for another Warwick item. Obviously, the more challenger units you have, the easier the game will be, so we always prefer to have those in our current board as well. On stage 3-2, you can level to 6 to either keep the win streak, or if you lost streak during the early game, you can roll a level 6 to stabilize. You generally want to hit the level 6 board or Warwick 2-star in order to be stable here most of the time. Once you are level 6 with 50 gold, we start slow rolling, meaning we roll down to 50 gold every single turn. This is to maximize our odds of hitting 3-star units. Our 3-star priority is Warwick, Quinn, Samira, then Camille, meaning that if we need to sell a unit for bench space, you will sell Camille first, then Samira. But in some cases, if you're really close to Camille but far off Samira, you can sell off Samira as you're not going to 3-star her that game. By stage 4-1, you will generally need to have at least Warwick 2-star and most of the other units 2-star in order to be stable. And by stage 5-1, you will generally need at least Warwick 3-star or 2 of the other 3-stars to be stable. Sometimes if you're healthy, you can greed, but in general, you can go below 50 gold here to hit one of them. Once you hit Warwick 3-star, you will level up to either 7, 8, or 9 depending on how much HP and gold you have. When you hit level 7, you will usually add in Zilean, Orianna, or Jhin for Clockwork. This is to boost the attack speed of our entire team. At level 8, your board looks like this depending on your augments. But the only thing you absolutely need is 6 Challenger in at all times. You will run 3 Chemtech if you need more tankiness on Warwick to avoid him getting bursted down. You can add in Socialite if the Hex is in the first 2 rows. Jace is a great unit to run to be a tank and also to shred armor for our team. A Challenger is amazing if you hit a Spatula, and Tahm Kench can be great if you need to get through a really tanky frontliner. Besides that, there's not much else you can do with this comp, and most of the time you will end up with this variation. If you are high rolling and you're able to make it to level 9 with a lot of gold, the most capped version of this comp looks like this. If you get contested, what you do will depend a little on how you get contested. You can get contested by somebody else trying to play the same comp, or you can get partially contested by people playing 6 Challenger Yone or Chemtech Urgot. Getting contested by Challengers or Chemtech is bad, but not the worst as we'll still be able to hit Warwick 3-star. It will just take longer, and we will also struggle to find Yone and Fiora early. In that case, this comp is less favorable to play, but if you get a good opener and good augments, you can definitely still go for it. If you get contested by another reroll Warwick player, things are not looking great. You have 2 options from there. The first one is to use Warwick as an item carrier and then pivot into either Chemtech Urgot or Challenger Yone. The second option is to contest, but know that you will most likely go 7th or 8th if you do this. To do this, you need to be farther ahead than your contester, and you also need to be constantly checking how close the other player is to hitting Warwick 3-star. If he is starting to get close, you will have to roll down in order to hit before him. General positioning with this comp looks like this. Here we have Zac and Mundo on the outskirts to soak up most of the damage. Since the challengers are relatively squishy, we don't want them to get targeted by enemy carries right away. Warwick wants to be positioned where he can get most easily kills, and to get the challenger attack bonus off, also known as getting resets. But where this is will be a case-by-case basis, so having him in the middle is generally safe to make sure he doesn't get focused by backline carries. Quinn wants to be in a safe spot to make sure she casts her spell. It targets the units with the highest attack speed, so it doesn't matter where she is as long as she is safe. Samira wants to target the same unit as Warwick to shred the armor of the unit, and also to help Warwick get resets off. Now moving on to some in-depth examples. Against the first guy, the big threat is Jhin. Warwick is positioned to target Jace as he doesn't have bodyguard and will be the easiest target. Mundo is tanking Jhin's auto attacks. Yone is positioned to walk down and spawn the clone in the backline. Samira is targeting Jace to shred his armor, and Quinn is safe in the corner to make sure she ults the backline. Against the second guy, the big threat is Jinx. Warwick is positioned to take down the Blitzcrank. Samira is getting hooked by Blitzcrank. Quinn is positioned on the hex right of the corner to avoid getting hooked by the enemy Blitz. Yone is positioned to spawn the clone next to Urgot. Zac is positioned to pull in the Jinx before she ults. Against the third guy, the big threat is Viktor and Lux. Zac is positioned to pull in Viktor. Fiora, Yone, and Samira are targeting Vex, as we don't want her to ult multiple times. Warwick will have to walk around our own frontline and might attack the backline, which is huge. Quinn is positioned to bait out the Lux ultimate, resulting in our frontline taking less damage. Thank you so much for watching. If you learned something, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Comment down below what video you want me to make next, and if you want to get better at TFT, join the Discord. We got over 6,000 other players there who are hungry to climb, and if you want to get coached by me, the information is over on the Discord server as well. So take care and see you in the next video.